Testing, testing, testing. Welcome back. Rahubat Moisar. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Shalom Hotep. Peace and blessings to all those around the world. It's a beautiful day to be in Carrot Bars. It's definitely a wonderful day to be in this company. So I just want to thank everybody for bearing with me. My thing is probably back on private again, so something's weird about that. Facebook keeps setting my videos to private. I'm gonna have a word with Mark Zuckerberg, man. He's messing with me here, guys. But hopefully, I think everybody should be able to hear me fine now. I'm not gonna be able to put it on the performance the way that I wanted to put it on because I was gonna bring in my cool little TV for y'all. But I'll probably have to do it a little bit different to show you the allegory of the cave today, um, so that you'll still be able to hear it. So just give me 1 second, y'all. I'm about to bring that up. Let me see. I'm going to let some people get in. I know that this just popped on. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me. Um, I'm not sure what the sound issue is just yet. I'm working on that. As you see, I'm putting together some new studios and stuff. Um, so yeah, I also am working with multiple programs. So there's actually two broadcasters. Okay, thanks, Sarah. I appreciate you, sis. What's up, Sparkles? I see you out there. Man, it looks hot out there. You look like you're relaxing today. I see you near the pool. That's beautiful. Uh yeah, so good, good, good. Sorry about the discrepancy. I'm still working on a few things. I should have them all ironed out sometime within this week, because with the new software and all, uh, yeah. So just kind of bear with me, and I should say I appreciate all of you bearing with me. I have this stream today is going to be really powerful. I really think you might want to share this because we uh we're going to be talking about the allegory of the cave, and this was originally written by Plato. Um, Probably inspired by Socrates, and of course, Plato was argumentatively one of the greatest philosophers and writers of our times. And so he wrote this story called the Allegory of the Cave. Now, here, what I'm gonna put on is it's a nice little animation of it. I was gonna bring it down on my really nifty TV, but since my sound input is not working correctly, I'm gonna go ahead and do something a little different, and I'm gonna play it from uh we're gonna go ahead and play it from this other program, okay? Something like this. She said no sound on the video. Okay, let's see if I can fix that. I think I might know how to fix that for y'all real quick. Let's see. Yeah, I can fix that one. Thanks, Sarah. I'm sorry, I'm all discombobulated today, and it's my birthday, so I wanted a perfect stream.
The fire throws on the opposite wall of the cave. Entrance across the whole width of the cave.
Let's go back a little bit.
Envision human figures living in an underground cave with a long entrance across the whole width of the cave. Here they have been from their childhood and have their legs and necks chained so that they cannot move and can only see before them, being prevented by the chains from turning their heads around.
Thanks, sir.
Above and behind them, a fire is blazing at a distance. They see only their own shadows, which the fire throws on the opposite wall of the cave. For how could they see anything but the shadows if they were never allowed to move their heads? Between the fire and the prisoners, there is a raised way and a low wall built along the way like the screen which puppet players have in front of them, over which they show the puppets. Do you see men passing along the wall, carrying all sorts of articles which they hold projected above the wall? Statues of men and animals made of wood and stone and various materials? Of the objects which are being carried in like manner, they would only see the shadows. And if they were able to converse with one another, would they not suppose that they were naming what was actually before them? And suppose further that there was an echo which came from the wall. Would they not be sure to think, when one of the passers-by spoke, that the voice came from the passing shadows? To them, the truth would be literally nothing but the shadows of the images. And now look again and see what will naturally follow if one of the prisoners is released. At first, when he is liberated and compelled suddenly to stand up and turn his head round and look towards the light, all this would hurt him, and he would be much too dazzled to see distinctly those things whose shadows he had seen before. And then conceive someone saying to him that what he saw before was an illusion. But that now, when he's approaching nearer to reality and his eyes turn toward more real existence, he has a clearer vision. What will be his reply? And you may further imagine that his instructor is pointing to the objects as they pass and requiring him to name them. Will he not be perplexed? Will he not think that the shadows which he formerly saw are truer than the objects which are now shown to him? And suppose once more that he is reluctantly dragged up a steep and rugged ascent and held fast until he is forced into the presence of the sun himself. Fellows have been accustomed to behold.
We'll rewind a little bit. I know
Clearly he would first
had a little sound
see.
issue there.
He will be able to see. And suppose once more that he is reluctantly dragged up a steep and rugged ascent and held fast until he is forced into the presence of the sun himself. When he approaches the light, his eyes will be dazzled, and he will not be able to see anything at all of what are now called realities. He will require to grow accustomed to the sight of the upper world. And first he will see the shadows best. Next, the reflections of objects in the water, and then the objects themselves. Then he will gaze upon the stars and the spangled heavens and the light of the moon He will see the sky and the stars by night. Last of all, he will be able to see the sun, and not mere reflections of it in the water, but he will see the sun in its own proper place and not in another. And he will contemplate the sun as it is. Will he not then proceed to argue that it is the sun who gives the season and the years, and is the guardian of all that is in the visible world, and in a certain way the cause of all things which his fellows have been accustomed to behold? Clearly he would first see the sun, and then reason about it. And when he remembered his old habitation and what was the wisdom of the cave and his fellow prisoners, do you not suppose that he would bless himself for the change and pity them? And if they were in the habit of conferring honors among themselves on those who were the quickest to observe the passing shadows, and to remark which of them went before and which followed after, and which were together, and who were therefore best able to draw conclusions as to the future, do you think that he would care for such honors and glories, or envy the possessors of them? Would he not say with Homer, "Better to be the poor servant of a poor master, and to endure anything rather than think as they do and live after their manner"? Imagine once more such a one coming suddenly out of the sun to be replaced in his old situation. Would he not be certain to have his eyes full of darkness? And if there were a contest of measuring the shadows, and he had to compete with the prisoners who had never moved out of the den, while his sight was still weak, and before his eyes had become steady, wouldn't they all laugh at him and say he had spoiled his eyesight by going up there, and that it was better not to even think of ascending? And if anyone tried to release another and lead him up to the light, let them only catch the offender, and they would put him to death.
Right. Okay. So, there's some deep stuff going on in there. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to open it up a little bit. So the allegory of the cave is, I think, phenomenally interesting. It's interesting. So this program I'm using, it helps to show Facebook content, comments, but it's only posting Sarah Voorhees comments this morning. So I don't know. You're special today, Sparkles, because nobody else's comments are popping up where I can actually share them with y'all. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of Sarah stuff today, unless they start acting right. But I want to say good morning to everybody. So the Allegory of the Cave is a very interesting story. I encourage everybody to read it and just, let your mind open up, or do whatever that story was designed to do for you. Uh, so I wanted to say that within that, for one, you have a group of people that are not seeing the truth. They're only seeing shadows of the truth. Yet they think it's the truth because they see nothing else. Well, today I compare that to financial literacy. I compare that to our pursuit of fiat. I compare that to spending before saving. I compare that to spending instead of circulating. It's just this, we've never been shown a different way. So we're automatically geared towards believing and thinking that the way that we've been taught is not only the best way, but the only way. Right. So until when they were chaining, they had to look forward. All they could see was the shadows. So there was no other reality to them but the shadows on the wall. Yeah, I'm gonna get me some cash gold today. I'm trying to get in on that opportunity. You know, it's one for our team. I'm gonna go ahead and grab me like a 3 grand for my birthday. I think the best thing I could do today is to pay myself first. And so I have a lot of great energy. It's interesting how Sarah really is the only one showing up in this comment. Like it's truly favoring her. The reason I went out for a minute is I tried to like kind of refresh it and stuff. It is still Jerome Spears, good morning. I'm just gonna manually kind of give y'all some good mornings today. Glenn Perkins, good morning. Danny James, good morning. Lakeisha McKnight, good morning, sis. Marie Stafford, Rahul back, sis. It's good to see everybody on here. I do see y'all, but they're not allowing me to share anybody's comments. But Miss Sarah Voorhees, she's special today, okay? So yeah, it is what it is. It's not favoritism, y'all. It's really not. I love all of you. I think it's pretty interesting. Um, but back to the allegory of the cave, I have a brother who's gonna I wanted to kind of break it down a little further. Um, this brother here is called Dr. Harrison Kleiner. And so we're gonna look into his breakdown
their
of the
experience,
allegory
the
of the
world
cave.
in which they
Okay,
find
so we're gonna
themselves.
go back to about here.
Before
And let me just blow this up for us. If there is any problems with sound, please let me know. Again, I'm working with like new programs here, so I definitely appreciate y'all being patient with me and stuff, because you know how I do it. It takes me a little while to get it right, but once I got it, we're gonna have it going.
before we get to that, what are they doing down there? What are these cave dwellers spending their time doing?
They're trying to guess the objects.
Yeah, he says on page 2, if they were able to converse with one another, would you not suppose that they were naming what comes before them? This, I think, is really significant. When you name something, what you're doing is you are identifying it. You're saying what it is. I mean, I have young children, right? And my favorite age is that kind of, round 2, where the language, language theorists call it the language explosion, right? Where all of a sudden kids start naming stuff all over the place. It's great fun taking them to the grocery store because they're just naming apple, orange, watermelon, banana, right? Naming everything. Now, what are they doing? They're rendering their world intelligible to them, right? This activity of naming is the activity of reason. It is our reason coming to intelligently apprehend an intelligible world. Human beings, this is a pretty unique activity in the world. Language, this ability to name. So
He said, rendering their own world intelligible to them. It's interesting, right? Rendering their own world intelligible to them. That is what we all do. So, of course, all these lies, people would say, well, if we've been being lied to all this time, how is it that we didn't see it? Well, this is exactly why. We render our reality or our world in a way that's intelligible to us. And so they figured it out. Look, I'm going to get deep here. Let me tell y'all something. I believe that the powers that be right now have read this allegory and they have used this as a type of manipulation. And that's why we honestly do, as a whole society, represent those people in the bottom of the cave watching shadows compared to what the real reality is. And of course, on here, we deal more with financial literacy, but our whole reality is not what we think it is. And I recommend Robert Kiyosaki's book, Fate.
They're naming the things that come before them because they desire to understand, right? There's some natural impulse that they have to render intelligible their experience, the world in which they find themselves. Now, of course, the trouble is that's not a tree. It's a shadow of a statue, which is itself a copy of a real tree, right? They're many times removed from really identifying the things, giving the things the name that properly deserve the name, right? The truth for them, this is page 2, would literally be nothing but the shadows of things on the wall. Now, of course, they're none the wiser because they've been down there their whole lives and have never been able to turn around, and this is their whole world, as it were. They don't know anything different. Okay, so now what ends up happening in the story?
The prisoners get released.
One of them gets released. We don't really get told how. He gets released, and what does he do?
He leaves the cave.
He leaves the cave. He starts, though.
Doesn't he stand and like feel pain because he's been stuck in the same position watching a wall?
Yeah, and it's worth noting here. This is on page 2. One of them is released and disabused of their error. At first, when any of them is liberated and compelled to stand up. You get the sense that one of them gets released, but he keeps just sitting there.
And
He has.
what I want to get into right now is what I find very, very fascinating about this story. I hope all of you, or maybe some of you, come to this conclusion too. But what about that revolutionary mind that decided to stand up and look for something better? You know, that's Dr. Seiss. Let me get back into this.
To be made to turn around. He's compelled to turn around. And when he does turn around, it's painful for him because he's been, well, it's like the experience when you go to a matinee movie, and then if you go out the side exit where you go just immediately outside, so your eyes are adjusted to the dark, and then you go outside and you're, you know, the light is dazzling to you, and it's disorienting and even a little bit painful. That's the experience that he has. So he turns around, and it's, you know, the light from the fire is so bright that it's, he's pained, he is uncomfortable and pretty unhappy. And then he's told by the person who's taking him out, hey, these things here, these things are nearer to being than the things you were seeing before. These things are more real than the things you were seeing before. Now,
And look, we've learned what? Gold is more real than what we thought was money before. You see how this all ties in? This ties in. I can tie all this in to our financial literacy build. I'm not necessarily going to do that, but I hope that all of you can, because remember that these streams are geared towards personal development and financial literacy first. Those are the core. And so I hope that we can tie all of these in, and I'm going to help you all to do that before this is over.
what do you expect his response is to that? You're crazy, right? What kind of nonsense are you talking about? This is craziness. So then page 3, suppose once more he's reluctantly dragged up a steep and rugged ascent. It's hardly a voluntary participant, dragged out and held fast, now in the sunlight. You can imagine how disturbing that is to his eyesight, having had his eyes for his whole life been adjusted to the dark of the cave. He's held down, you know, look at it, the light, look at it, ah! Right, and it's really traumatizing for him, right? And he's pained and dazzled and irritated and really, really unhappy. Except, eventually his eyes adjust, right? And he starts kind of first looking at, you know, things, and then kind of slowly looks up, looks at the tree, and then finally, even though his mom told him not to, he looks directly at the sun. And when he looks at the sun, he sees the truth of everything. This is page 3.
Now, let's get a little deep into that. When he looks at the sun, he sees the truth of everything. When he looks at the sun, yeah, S-U-N, when he looks at the sun, he sees the truth of everything. There's something hidden there. And remember that these brothers did study, if they didn't study in Egypt, they at least study with people from Egypt. And, you know, this is where some of the, well, that's a whole nother lecture.
Last of all, he'll be able to see the sun, and not mere reflections of him in the water, but he will see him, he's kind of personalizing the sun here, in his own proper place and not in another, and he will contemplate him as he is, and he'll see the sun as the thing who gives the seasons of the years, and is in a certain sense the cause of everything else that is. the sun somehow, what he gets to here is like the first principle of everything else. And having apprehended the first principle of everything else, he's become wise. His knowledge, he understands everything. And he's overjoyed, and he looks back at his former comrades in the base of the cave, and he feels sorry for them. But he doesn't get to stay out there. He's made to go back down. And what is his experience when he returns?
Okay, so I don't know if all of y'all are with me so far, but imagine we've been woken up. We've been given the information that the money we thought was money was fake. Everything we thought was fake. We've been given a glimpse of what the real world looks like outside of the matrix. But now we have to go back into the dwellings of the mentality that existed in us before we were introduced to this information. Of course, it's going to be challenging. What do you think that brother went through when he had to go back down there and try to convince them that everything that they think is real is fake? Was he lying to them? No, he was telling the truth. This is where this all starts to unfold. Check it out.
Yeah.
Well, when he's chained up again, and he goes back to like playing the game of like naming the things that are on the wall, he's terrible at it because his eyes aren't adjusted to the dark. And so all the rest of his comrades in the cave begin to like make fun of him, like, oh, we're never going to leave the cave. Like if someone comes out, we're going to try to, if someone comes to get one of us, we're going to turn on them and kill them so that they don't take us out.
Yeah, so you could imagine this guy's response. He comes down, he says, hey guys, guess what? You've been living a lie your whole lives. Nothing that you believe is really true. But I've seen the light, literally, right? You know, the allegory here is pretty obvious. I've seen the light, I've seen the truth, and come with me.
Oh, great point, Ronald Newton, I can't let that pass. Something about that sunlight also activated something inside of him. See, this is, we can start to talk about metaphysical things here that happened in this story. But let me go back. I don't want to get off course.
You got to check this out. You're crazy, right? Well, all right, let's see how great you are. And they play like a cave dwellers Jeopardy game. It's like a knowledge bowl. Who can name the most things that come in front? And you'll see around campus, you'll see, it must be in some, forestry class or something. You'll see students on campus walking around with a clipboard, looking really closely and intently at trees. And I presume what they're doing is, who can I sort of identify the various species of tree around campus? And the students that know the most will be able to name the greatest number of trees as they walk around with their little clipboards. I mean, that's what it is to have knowledge in a certain sense, is to know the name of a thing. And that's why when somebody says something rotten about us or something, we say, well, that person, she doesn't even know my name. She doesn't know me because she hasn't named me. She doesn't know my name. So these people down on the base of the cave are like, well, all right, let's smarty pants. Let's see how much wisdom you've actually acquired. And he does terribly, right? Because he has the reverse problem. Right? You'll have this sometimes, your roommate, like you're getting ready to go to bed and your roommate flips off the light without warning you. And if you're staring up at the ceiling and you get those like starbursts in your eyes and you're disoriented just in the opposite direction. So he does terribly at the game. And it's not just that they laugh at him. They think, look, this guy's dangerous. He's coming down, upsetting everybody's kind of conventional opinion about things. And so, yeah, they say at the bottom of page 4, if anybody else tries to pull what this guy's pulled, we'll catch him, we'll kill him. Plato is clearly referencing Socrates here, because Socrates was tried, found guilty, and ultimately executed in Athens for practicing philosophy, for upsetting people by challenging their conventional opinions. And there's no doubt that Plato is thinking of Socrates there, right? Because this is written about 20 years after Socrates had died. Well, okay. Let's think a bit more about the allegory. The sun is the truth of everything in some sense. It's a first principle of everything else. We know these people are supposed to be like us. He didn't ever tell us who these people were. Who do you think those people might be? Any ideas? Yeah.
Maybe those in power, those who like to keep others in the dark.
So these people are most definitely.
Now, also in this allegory, as I said, that's why I really think that this was built to be a strategy and might be an exact replica of a system that's being used against us today, because you have these people responsible for keeping everybody else in the dark.
Definitely in a position of extraordinary power, right? Because whatever they hold up determines the opinions and beliefs and attitudes of everybody else. They are in a position of incredible power. In our society, who might these people be? Who are the opinion makers? That's what these people are. They're the opinion makers.
Wow.
Yeah, the government, which shapes opinions by making laws.
The opinion makers.
That encourage certain behaviors, discourage other kinds of behaviors, encourage certain attitudes, discourage others. So the state.
Teachers and mentors.
Teachers. You could really get into a kind of Pink Floyd-y kind of interpretation here of teachers.
Teachers and mentors, though. This is interesting because then it becomes, what are you teaching? Are you teaching people? Are you teaching stuff that's going to keep people in the dark? Or are you teaching stuff that'll bring people to light? I think and I hope that, everything I teach is for the latter. That's my goal, at least. And I think that that's the powerful thing about us having our hands on financial literacy as a tool, because it gives us that power.
Leave those kids alone, stop indoctrinating them into whatever ideology it is that the teachers are trying to indoctrinate them into. And of course, parents.
He said that the teachers are trying to indoctrinate them into. Wow. And look at this. Parents. Woo.
Good parenting is just another way of
So
saying
now, are we showing our children financial literacy? Are we teaching them financial literacy? Are we bringing them to the light, or are we forcing them to stay in the dark? And the truth is that there really is no in between. You're either doing one or you're doing the other. You're either helping bring people to the light or you're helping to keep them in the dark. And who are you? What are you? Are you a light bearer? Or are you somebody that prefers darkness? Not to say that either one of them are bad. Remember that darkness existed before light. As the master teacher said, what state was God in when he said, let there be light? So it's not to say that darkness is bad, but in this case, we're comparing darkness to not being able to see the entire reality. And that's why you have these groups that, put themselves into a special position. And some of them are, but, where you have the alumni, right? What's alumni mean? Alumni means top of the class. And congratulations to all of you, But the point is that it means the smartest of the class. And then you hear another word that's associated with a lot of disagreeable things, Illuminati. But what are one of the characteristics you hear of the Illuminati? Secrets, right? Secret knowledge, secret information, the information that gives people an edge, that gives people more power. Knowledge is power. The illuminated, right? Illuminate. It means to light up so that you can see, so that you can understand, so that you can perceive reality. This is not one of them light versus dark convos, because I believe both are good. Both are essential. Look at the yin yang symbol. Even the symbol next to me, which is, perpetuating a constant state of balance. Well, I know that my time is running out a little bit. Uh, I decided I was going to go in with y'all a little bit today, only for the fact that I have a little extra time, and it's my birthday. There's no place I'd rather be. There's nothing better that I'd rather be doing than what I'm doing here with y'all right now. So there's two things I want to tell y'all. Um, Number one, look up that story, The Allegory of the Cave by Plato. Watch it. Get your own interpretation from it. Um, what I like to do is, because there's a little more, there's a point that he's about to hit that I really wanted to hit with all of you. So I'm just going to play a few more minutes before we get out of here, if y'all have some time, okay?
Brainwashing your children, right? Because you want your children to believe this and you don't want them to believe that, and you do a whole bunch of things to try to encourage them to believe that it's good to share and be honest and don't tell lies and all of these other kinds of things. Religious leaders, priests and ministers of whatever.
Religious leaders, priests and ministers. Wow. So you look at these people, these are all the gatekeepers. These are the keepers either keeping you in the dark or bringing you into the light. You have to decide which one it is that they're doing. But I can tell you, based on Robert Kiyosaki's book, Fake, we know that a lot of them are doing the other. They're keeping us in the dark purposely. That's their position. That's some of them are being paid to do it. But whatever position they have, it puts them all here. It puts us down here. And it's like, how do we get out of there? How do we get out of the cave? If all the people, right, that kind of protect us from getting out of the cave or would help us get out of the cave, they are all misled too. So it's not that I'm not saying our parents are purposely lying to us. I'm not saying our teachers are purposely lying to us. I'm not even saying the politicians are always purposely lying to us. They're telling us what they know. And so now it's up to you to disseminate the truth, to pick apart the truth for yourself. But I can tell you, you're going to have to teach them before it's all over. Thank you all, y'all. I appreciate the birthday wishes, Gloria Bass, Alicia. Appreciate that, Danny. Appreciate that. I wish I could show all your things up here. The only one they let come through today was Sarah and Deborah Black. That's it. They're the only comments. I don't know why. They were special today. But I thank you all for being on here. There's a few things I want to say before I roll out. One, make sure you're on the power call today if you're watching this live. If you're not watching this live, I still want to welcome you. Thank you for checking this out. I hope this was to open your mind some about reality and about the gatekeepers. Maybe we'll get into this segment again in the future. The other thing is I'm going to be doing the training today. So I'm going to be doing the Super Saturday noon training. Make sure y'all come on there. I'm going to be fired up. I'm going to be ready to go. Get your, get people over there. I'll bring a couple people in the company for you today. Just send them to that training, that noon training. It's on. All right. So everybody, you know what I say? Wadu and Au. Peace, y'all.